Would you like to get a band 7, 8 or 9 in your IELTS speaking test? Maybe you just want to improve your English fluency. Well, in this video, I'll be giving you some great native speaker model language so that you can do both. Come and join me. Hello there, David from IELTS Teacher 365 here, and welcome to another IELTS mock speaking test. In today's test, I will be playing the role of a student from the Netherlands, Daan. I hope I said that right. And I will be showing how he gets a band 9 in each part of the exam without the need to use lots of difficult idiomatic expressions and phrasal verbs. Remember, to get the most from this video, pay attention to the language I use and my native speaker pronunciation. So, if you're ready, let's get started.
Can you tell me your full name, please?
I'm Daan Jansen.
And where are you from?
I'm from the Netherlands and I live in Rotterdam with my parents and my sister.
Can I see your identification, please?
Yes, here you are.
Thank you, that's fine. Now, in this first part, I'd like to ask you some questions about yourself. Let's talk about what you do. Do you work or are you a student?
I'm a student. I'm in my final year of an environmental studies degree here at a university in Amsterdam.
Why did you choose to study this subject?
Well, first and foremost, because I'm really concerned about the current state of the environment and also how it might change in the future.
Is there anything you dislike about your studies?
Well, there's an awful lot of coursework, and this can get a bit stressful when I have 2 or 3 projects to complete and hand in at the same time. But in a way, this is a good thing, because I'm getting used to working to tight deadlines, which I suppose will be important when I start work.
What do you plan to do once you've completed your studies?
I think one of the best things about an environmental science degree is that there are a lot of job possibilities when you finish. Ideally, I'd like to work as a consultant back in my hometown, advising local government on environmental issues.
Let's talk about friends. What activities do you enjoy doing with your friends?
Well, I guess the typical things that other people of my age like doing. We really like going to bars and clubs in the evening because we like dancing and meeting new people. Another thing I really like doing with them is sport. I play in a football team with some friends from my neighbourhood, and at university I'm a member of a handball team with some of my classmates.
Do you prefer to meet your friends in person or online?
In person for sure, because I really like being in the company of other people. And when you're in the same place as them, the communication is much more personal, and you can really see how the other person is feeling. For me, I usually meet with friends online if they're living in another city or another country, because it's the only way to meet up on a regular basis, to chat and find out what we've been up to.
How easy do you think it is to form new friendships?
Well, I guess this depends on your personality. In my case, I'm quite an outgoing and sociable person, so for me, it's pretty easy to make new friends and acquaintances. On the other hand, if you're a shy person or lack self-confidence, then I imagine making new friends must seem much more daunting than it really is. I think a good way to overcome this problem is to join a club, team or organisation that does an activity or sport you enjoy.
Now let's talk about mobile phones. How important is a mobile phone in your daily life?
I mean, I use it for so many things that it's become indispensable. For example, I wake up thanks to my mobile phone because it's my alarm clock. Then throughout the day, I constantly use it to keep in touch with family and friends, send emails, and get information from the internet. I also use it to listen to music and play games online, especially when I'm traveling to and from university.
What features of your mobile phone do you find the most useful?
Well, I've just bought a new phone, and I think what I appreciate most about it is its memory. I got really fed up with my old one because it had hardly any space for storing music, games, and photos. And if I wanted to download a new app, then I had to uninstall another one first. Now I've got loads of storage, so it was definitely worth the extra money I paid for it.
What problems do you think mobile phones can cause?
Well, I think people are spending an ever-increasing amount of time using mobile phones these days. So the main problems, I think, in the long term are related to our mental and physical health. I've read that phones are partly to blame for higher levels of stress in adults because we're constantly being bombarded by calls, messages, and alerts. And in terms of physical health, I've read our eyes are suffering as well because we're squinting and straining to try and read information on small screens.
Thank you. Now, I'm going to give you a topic, and I'd like you to talk about it for 1 to 2 minutes. Before you talk, you'll have 1 minute to think about what you're going to say, and you can make some notes if you wish. Do you understand?
Yes.
So here's some paper and a pen to make some notes, and here's your topic. Please don't write anything on the booklet. I'd like you to describe your ideal home.
Describe your ideal home. You should say where it would be, what it would look like, what special things it would have, and explain why it would be your ideal home.
All right?
Okay.
Remember, you have 1 to 2 minutes for this, so don't worry if I stop you. I'll tell you when the time is up. Can you start speaking now, please?
Well, if I could choose my ideal home anywhere in the world, it would definitely be one overlooking the sea. I'm pretty sure it would be in a quaint, unspoilt fishing village in Spain or the south of Italy. I've been to these countries on holiday and I've fallen in love with both of them. They have incredible climates, and so it would be the perfect place to live. And I'd want my ideal home to be just in front of the beach with spectacular views of the Mediterranean Sea. The house itself would be on 2 separate floors and would have a modern spacious design with lots of big windows to take full advantage of all the natural light. Downstairs, I'd have an open-plan kitchen and living room area with luxurious leather sofas and an enormous flat-screen TV. And then upstairs would be the bedrooms. Mine would have a huge king-size bed and an ensuite bathroom and an enormous veranda where I could sit and watch the sunrise in the morning. However, for me, the most important thing would be an outside pool. I love swimming and I'd want to wake up in the morning and be able to do a few lengths before breakfast. I can't imagine a healthier and more enjoyable way to start the day. Another thing my house would have is a garden full of plants or trees, because this would be great for the environment. And I'd also want a barbecue and a covered dining area so I could eat outside as often as possible all year round. So yeah, this would be my ideal home. A beautiful climate, a location with breathtaking views, a modern spacious living area, and best of all, a big garden with a pool and the opportunity to eat outside.
Thank you. Do you think you will ever live in a home like this?
Well, I'd certainly like to think so. I know I'm definitely going to need a lot of money for a house like this. So I'm either going to have to win the lottery or think about setting up my own business and becoming a successful businessman. I'm not sure I'd be able to afford a place like this if I just have a salaried job.
Thank you. Can I take the booklet and the pencil and paper back, please? Thank you. We've been talking about your ideal home, and I'd like to discuss with you one or two more general questions related to this. So, let's consider, first of all, homes in general. In your opinion, what makes a house into a home?
Well, to my mind, a home is a place where memories are made, which can be treasured and looked back on in the future. And I think one way to do this is have many family traditions that take place in the home. For example, in my parents' house, we have a traditional way of celebrating special occasions, such as birthdays or religious holidays, and this includes the way we decorate the house, the meals we eat, as well as the celebration itself. We can also have many special times with relatives and friends when they visit us. I think some of my favourite memories have been when we've had people staying at our home. So for me, the difference between a house and a home is that a home is filled with the noise of conversation and laughter.
In your country, do people spend a lot of time at home?
Well, again, I think this depends on each particular family. In my home, for example, we like to go out and do sport in the evening. And not only on weekends, but also on weekdays too. However, I'd say that in general, people tend to stay at home more during the week, especially in the cold winter months when we have less hours of daylight, and come out more for a coffee or a beer when the weather is better. But nowhere near as often as in Mediterranean countries like Spain, Italy or Greece. At weekends, though, it's quite different. People like to get out of the house, and many people have a bungalow or a mobile home where they spend their free time.
How do people in your country like to decorate their homes?
I think this very much depends on people's individual taste. I wouldn't say there was a specific Dutch way of decorating a home. My parents' house, for example, is quite a modern one in terms of the furniture they have, but also quite minimalistic in a way, because they aren't big fans of having lots of stuff just for the sake of decoration. However, there is something you might find decorating many homes in Holland, and these are the wooden Dutch shoes or clogs because they're emblematic of our country.
Let's go on and think about where people live. Why do you think so many people prefer to live in urban areas?
Well, I suppose the main reason is employment, because nearly all big companies are found in urban areas. And so people move to these places because they can find more and better jobs there. Interestingly, I read that before the Industrial Revolution, less than 5% of the world's population could be found living in cities. And now I think it's around 50% and rising every decade. Other pull factors include better medical care in terms of health centres and hospitals, and better educational facilities like schools and universities. I think living standards are generally seen as being higher in cities than in rural areas.
What are some of the problems of living in urban areas?
Well, as more and more people flock to big cities looking for work and an overall better standard of living, they're becoming increasingly overpopulated. In fact, now we have a special term for such places, megacities. And obviously, the more people there are in a city, the slower it is for everybody to move around it. So we're seeing more traffic jams and longer ones. This is why public transport infrastructure tends to be much better in cities, because there are many more people to ferry around on a daily basis. And I think another growing problem is that of pollution. Generally speaking, the bigger the city, the worse the air quality is. And one side effect of this is that there are an increasing number of people suffering from things like asthma and allergies.
What housing problems might your country face in the future?
Well, that's difficult for me to say because I'm neither an expert in this area nor a homeowner. However, what I've read in the newspapers is that house prices are increasing faster than salaries, which makes it all the harder for young people to get their foot on the property ladder. Something else I've heard is that there are plenty of properties available in rural areas, but the building of new houses in cities can't keep pace with the demand. So this is also responsible for pushing prices up. I think what we'll see in the future is young people leaving the nest much later than they do at the moment, as buying their first home becomes more and more prohibitive for them.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. That is the end of the speaking test.
Thank you. Have a nice afternoon. Okay, so there you have it. How do you think Don did in part 1, part 2 and part 3 of the test? I hope you noticed that I didn't use lots of difficult idiomatic expressions and phrasal verbs, and it is possible to get a band 7, 8 or 9 just by using common, everyday, native speaker model language. Please, if you enjoyed this video, give it a like and hit the subscribe and the bell button so that you never miss the opportunity to improve your English and your IELTS band score. I'm David, thank you very much for watching, and until next time, take care and keep practicing.